All right, everybody, how y'all doing tonight? I want to thank y'all for tuning in to OneObjective. Guys, we have got a great show lined up for you tonight. It's kind of a bonus show, James. I mean, we still got one planned for Sunday, but we're doing this one because just kind of how the tour, the pros schedules work out, especially when they win. They got so many other shows to do and just other things to do. So I can't get all the words out. But anyways, how you doing tonight, James?
Oh, good. How about you?
Oh, not too bad. I don't know how your weather is back at home, but we are getting about 2 inches of snow right now as we speak.
We're not getting any snow, and I hope we don't.
I'm hoping it
It's a
blows
little
on.
chilly.
Yeah, I hope it blows on down your way so you can have some of it because I'm about tired of it already.
Yeah, I don't need it. I don't need it at all.
We got the Richmond Fishing Expo coming up this weekend, and it's going to be a rainy weekend. So I'm kind of hoping that this rain holds off, or at least there ain't no other weather with it, whether it be snow or sleet. So, James, are you going to be able to make it Saturday?
I'm hoping so. I have a job that's got to be finished up, so hopefully we finish it tomorrow. Tomorrow might be a late day for me, but I hope we can get it done.
That's not the answer I like.
I know it's not. It's not the answer I want to give.
Yeah.
Believe
I need
me.
you there. I need you there, James. Me and Chris
I know.
need you. Speaking of Chris,
More than
go ahead.
likely I'll be there.
You better be. You better be. Speaking of Chris, you notice I'm back here manning the station again because Chris works night shift, so he can't do it for us tonight. So, Chris, we miss you, and can't wait for you to get back because I haven't done this in a while, and now I'm still like, oh gosh, how do I work everything? What do I need to do? So.
Yeah, he was struggling earlier, Chris.
And I still might be here in a minute, so let's just see how that goes. But, guys, we got a great show lined up, as I said earlier. We're going to have Terry Bolton on. He won the FLW Tour event down at Sam Rayburn. This is their first one of the year for the 2019 season. And as y'all will see in the pictures in a little while, the common bait that did it all for me. Everybody knows by now that it was a crankbait that won it for Terry Bolton, but to see the color, it's going to be it's just – I always think it's cool when you look at an elite event or a FLW event on a tour series and in the opens, but when they start showing the pictures of the baits that made the top 10 and the similarities of the baits, it's crazy how everybody stumbles onto that color or onto that bait. It always gets me about that.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
I would like this year just to see – this is what we ought to do with Casey's tournaments is we ought to go in and just ask the top 5 guys what did it for you, baits, if they're willing to do that, but baits and I ain't worried about spots and all that stuff. I just want to know techniques and baits and colors, but Chris said he'll be back Sunday. Oh yeah, we're gonna need you Sunday, Chris. We got another great show lined up for Sunday that we just got it going here. James actually come up with a great idea for it, and we're gonna be having David Dudley. I just talked to him. He'll be on Sunday, and hopefully in video form, so it won't be on the phone conversation. So it's gonna be a great show. We're gonna be talking about swim bait fishing. If y'all haven't seen his newest YouTube video he just come out with, James, you talked about. I haven't seen it yet, but you were telling me about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a good video.
So make sure you go over and check him out, David Dudley, on YouTube. I don't know. What's his YouTube name? Is it just David Dudley Fishing?
David Dudley Outdoors.
David Dudley Outdoors. So make sure you go out there and check him out. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get our guest on. Oh, boy. What did I hit? Okay. Give me a second here. Trying to add to this call here. But
Chris, this is why we need you.
Yeah, we need you bad right now, buddy. Give me a second. Chris is the one that's normally working this thing. All right, add to call. All right, so I'm going to kind of let everybody look at the baits that was used on this to kind of get an idea of what was kind of the norm here Chris said we got a little bit of echo from you on your end. James, I don't know why. I think it's Skype. I don't think because everything sounds clear on my end here. So I don't know. Anyways, give me a second, guys. I'm going to get him on and get Terry Bolton on, and we'll talk about his tournament, Sam Rayburn. Let's see. All right. Be with me 1 second. Can you hear that, James? Me dialing. I hope not. I got you. Go figure. All right. Well, we don't have him yet. And I can't get rid of him. Well, anyways, Terry, you're going to hear this whole conversation. So we don't have Terry yet. But let's send him another message. Oh, nope. All right. There we go. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. This is crazy. It's been a crazy night. So anyways, hopefully he didn't forget. But anyways. So Terry Bolton won this won the Sam Rayburn off of crankbaits, and it was mainly a DT crankbait. Being a DT10 or DT16, I can't remember exactly on the size of what it was, but it was a big. I don't know, James. I don't know if you got to watch any of the live. It was really good coverage because the top 4 guys were all in the hunt, and I mean all it was going to take was one gigantic fish from one of them guys. So, like I say, it was just a really good tournament to watch. If you get to go on FLW Live, they have done really well with their coverage on FLW Live on, kind of keeping everybody up to date what's going on, and through the day they'll have, and then also their blogs as the tournament's going on, because I think they just do Saturday and Sundays. So, but I'm going to try to message Terry Bolton now. James, kind of talk a little bit about the Richmond Expo we got coming up.
I know that it's going to be a ton of people up there that we know. And I think there's going to be tons of vendors. I think John Cruz is going to be there. Brandon Polinick's going to be there, isn't he, Josh?
I think it's Edwin Evers and Timmy Horton this year.
Edwin Evers and Timmy Horton.
And John Cruz, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really had a whole ton of time to look and see what all vendors are going to be up there. I know Real Snot's going to be there. TRC covers. Appomattox River Company's going to be there.
Yeah, they're going to have a big booth set up like they did last year. They're going to have a good. I know Shane from the Bonafide team. He's going to be up there.
He's loaded up and ready to go.
Yep. So yeah, it's going to be a good event. I'm hoping, guys, we get him on here soon, because if not, we're just going to save it for this Sunday. We ain't going to go too far into our show, but that's kind of. Let me get back here. All right. Well, I'd have messaged him and everything. Oh wait. All right. He's ready to call back in. All right. Let me go back to here. Give me a second, guys. Sorry about the technical difficulties today. All right. Hey, Terry, you got us, buddy? How you doing today?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess my phone was on. I just walked in the house and I had the phone in my pocket. And I guess it's on silent. And
Yeah.
I came in, I looked down, and I was like, oh, somebody called? And then I seen your text, and I went, well, how'd I miss it? And I looked, and I've had my phone on Do Not Disturb because it's rang so much, I guess.
Yeah, I understand, man. It's okay. We just want to congratulate you first off on your win. I enjoyed watching on FLW.
Well, thank you.
It was
Thank
phenomenal
you.
to watch you win that tournament and how you won that tournament. We all know
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, it was.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just because I won. I mean, I literally had fun. You know, I mean, had I finished second, I had fun. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard to, you talk to a lot of pros, and they always say it ain't about the money, it ain't about the glory. I mean, the being famous. It's just getting out there and being able to go fishing. When you have a day like that where you have so much fun, the money, I guess, really doesn't matter as much. It's just getting and having a good time and win with it.
That's what I said, too, at the end. I said, the money will eventually be gone, but the fact that you were a national champion, you can't take away. And that was something that was pretty important to me because I'd had so many close calls and something happened. And, and I really, like I said, I seriously thought about retiring and kicked the idea around very seriously. And I thought, well, maybe my good days are gone. Maybe I'll let all my opportunities slip by. And, and luckily my wife talked me into doing it again. And lo and behold, look what happened.
Yeah, exactly. That's
like I said, it was only 30 years in the making to get to that point. So it was an overnight success.
Yeah, that's I know you've had some very close calls and some tournaments that didn't go the way you wanted, and but to be able to finally close the deal and make it happen it was just awesome to see. So, but
it really was, and I literally have had hundreds of thousands of texts and messages from old friends and people I've met through the years, and I've tried to answer all of them. Some of them I know I've missed some, but it's pretty overwhelming how many people were happy to see me do well. And that really means a lot at the end of the day.
I got you. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. When you got the support there to, getting the text and messages and all that stuff, that's what's awesome about it, especially even the FLW pros that are congratulating you, when you get those kind of messages, I'm sure it makes it even better.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had FLW pros, Bass pros, MLS pros, you name it. They all, I've had them all message me. But, at one time we all fished together. So,
Yeah, it's kind of all a tight-knit family there when you're on the road with all them guys. So.
Right, exactly.
But let's kind of talk a little bit about your tournament. James is on here. He's going to do the in-depth segment of it once we kind of get through how your practices were and how your tournament went. But he's going to kind of go in-depth with, since you won it on a crankbait, we'll go in-depth on crankbait setups and stuff. So we'll turn it over to James in just a little bit. But first off, let's kind of talk about your practice. How did that go? Did you have a great practice going into this event?
Well, yeah. I didn't have a terrible practice, but it wasn't great. I guess the first day of practice, I put in and went back to some old areas where I had done well, say 15, 20 years ago when the water was high, and looked at those areas and, expecting them to look like they did 15, 20 years ago, but I knew I wanted to focus on the north side of the lake. I knew I wanted to focus on the inside grass lines and outside grass lines. But the thing I didn't take into account for is, Sam Rayburn really hasn't been high in a few years. It's been low. So there's a lot of hay grass growing up on the bank. And so the inside grass lines, the area I looked at, I really couldn't find any to speak of. And I think I caught 3 bass the first day of practice, and I caught those doing 3 different things. And I was like, well, that didn't work too well. I caught one flipping, one on a spinnerbait, one on a lipless crankbait. And so the second day, I drove up to the 147 bridge and put in. And early that morning, I started out with a crankbait, set my boat in 12 to 14 feet of water, and I was just using my, my Lake Master mapping, and I was looking for drains running up into the centers of these pockets and sloughs and on these flats, and I just took off on a crankbait, and early on, I caught a couple bass, a couple keepers, but then I pulled up on the point where I initially started every morning of the tournament and caught them every cast for the first 20 minutes. I stumbled upon that place and caught like 4 consecutive throws, and they were getting bigger every throw when I left. So I worked on around from there and I found another point that I caught about a 5.5 pounder on and a keeper. And I caught them every cast there for about an hour and a half the first day of the tournament, but then they disappeared on me after the first day. Anyway, make a long story short, I felt like I found, 2 good places, and then I felt like I could fish around and catch some fish. So the third day I went to Beach Basin. The first point I stop on, I catch 2 consecutive casts on a crankbait. I throw that down, pick a Carolina rig up, throw out there, get a bite on that cast, and I think, well, I got to get out of here. And the next point I stop on, I found the School of Kentucky's. And I thought, well, this is going to be easy in here. Well, I never got another bite from 9 o'clock till about 12:30. And I was like, well, I left out of there, went out on the main lake, fished out deep, found a couple schools of Kentucky's out in like 25 feet of water, but they were very small. Then I went back into Harvey Creek where I practiced the second day. And I got to thinking, I thought, Terry, you haven't done any good since about the sun got up. And I said, you caught those fish on the inside grass line. I said, maybe they've gone out on the outside of it. You need to get to the outside edge. So I pull in, I'm idling down this grass line in about 17 feet of water, and the grass comes up to within, say, 7-8 feet of the surface. It's a pretty big blanket of grass. And I seen I guess it was a little drain go into a pocket, and so I just idled kind of parallel across it, and when I did, all of a sudden the grass just quit like a wall. And there was a void where there was no grass, and then the wall, it was about this width of maybe a trucking boat, maybe that wide, and the grass picked back up again, and in that void, I see about 25 arcs on my down imaging. And I went, holy cow, that's bass. Well, I marked it. I took my cursor, marked a waypoint, then turned the engine off, turned around, threw a crankbait across it, caught about a 6-pounder first cast, threw back, caught a 2.5 pounder, and I said, well, I better not do that anymore. Threw a Carolina rig in there, and it had a bunch of that black mucky grass in the bottom of it. Yeah. And, of course, as soon as my weight, all I come back with was a hairy weight and a hairy lizard. Well, I couldn't throw a Carolina rig in there, so I picked my crankbait back up, throw in there again, I catch another keeper. I caught a white bass. Throw back again, I catch a keeper, and I said, I better get out of here. I think I found something. Well, I was right, because that's where I caught the 33.5 pounds. And so from there, I think I went on, I found another school of fish out in about 22 feet of water on a real narrow point. And I had like 4 bites and 4 casts on a Carolina rig. I did set the hook on, and I picked the crankbait up and threw across the point one time and caught a keeper and left. So, I thought, well, heck, I've got, I feel like I've got 4 schools of bass in here, and I've got in this creek, and I've got, I feel like I got 2 or 3 other places I can run around and catch a few, so I guess this is where I'm fishing the whole tournament. And so I started on the inside grass line the first morning, caught them every cast for an hour or so, had about 12, 13 pounds, went to where I inevitably caught the 33 pounds, fished it, didn't catch anything, but I finally figured out later on my next return trip there, I was sitting on top of them. I went to my third spot, caught them every cast there for about an hour, hour and a half, and had them maybe, 14, 15 pounds once I left there. Went back to the second stop, threw, looked down at my down imaging, and I went, well, crap, I'm sitting on them. They moved out. So I backed the boat up about 2 boat lengths and proceeded to cull everything I had in the live well. I had 20 pounds, 10 ounces, and I quit at 12:30.
Wow.
And then the second day, same thing, started on that spot, caught my limit, went to where I caught the 20 pounds, 10 ounces, and I caught 2 4-pounders and a 3-pounder, or 3.5-pounder, and knew right then I was going to make the cut, and there was a local boat that was watching me. Well, I left there, went to my third stop. Well, he went out there and fished around, but he wasn't really sitting on it right. I didn't catch, on the third stop, I think I caught 1 keeper and 2 short fish. He left, I come back to it, get lined up, I catch a 6-pounder, and I cull 1. Then I catch a 4-pounder, and I cull 1. Then I catch an 8-8, and I cull 1. So by now, the FLW crew comes to me, and then I proceed to catch one every cast there for the next 15 minutes. It's, between 2 and 5 pounds.
Wow.
And I keep culling, and then I'm like, I get up to where I've got about 28 pounds, and I'm like, man, I don't know what, I need to leave. And it's like 1 o'clock. And my marshal goes, well, I'll stay here and guard this hole. And I'm like, well, I got to go weigh in eventually. They can come fish it.
Yeah.
And so I said something to Jody White for FLW. I said, I don't know what to do. Jody goes, well, let's catch 10-pounder. And by this time, this guy who had fished it the first time, he's seeing me catching them, and he's coming back that way again. And I'm like, well, as soon as I leave, this guy's going to come out here. I might as well let the air out of him. Because, who knows if I'll get here tomorrow. And, a few minutes later, I hook into the 9-8, and I throwed it. And then I'm culling 5-pounders, and then I go, I got to catch like a 6-pounder to do any good. And I think I'm done. And he's like, I sit here and guard it. And I'm like, what am I, it's a public lake. So I left and just went on around the rest of the day because I had 33.5 pounds. So, that kind of, and then the third day, much of the same, caught my limit on my starting spot, went to the second spot, caught a 6-pounder, a 3.5-pounder, and maybe 4 or 5 keepers. And I lost about a 4.5-pounder there. And, and I had a feeling then, I said, this place is piddling out, And I was hoping I could maybe get 1 decent bite there the final day, which I caught 2 keepers, just maybe pound and 3/4 bass. It did not produce a bass on the final day for me. But I remembered, luckily, I went back in a place and got fortunate, caught a 5-pounder on a spinnerbait, a place I just was practicing on. But at 2 o'clock, I remembered those fish I found the third day of practice in Beach Basin. And I thought, well, I don't have anything to lose. And I ran there, and within 3 casts, I catch a 3-pounder, cull 1. 5 minutes later, I catch another 3-pounder, cull 1. And 5 minutes after that, or 10 minutes after that, after FLW signs off, and Jody was leaving me, I catch a 4-pounder. And I thought, dadgum, why didn't I come here an hour sooner? And so I'm thinking, well, I think I've got a shot now, but if I catch 1 more, I think I'll seal the deal. Well, at 2:51, I hook another about 4.5-pound look-to-be bass. Could have been a 5-pound. It was a decent bass. And I get excited, and I lose it right at the net. And I thought, well, here it is, 2006 all over again, because I lost about a 6.5-pounder that year right at the net. And I thought, well, I looked down and I thought, well, I'm going to leave myself 20 minutes to get in. So I fished till 3:10, and I was literally catching one every cast on a Carolina rig up until 3:10, and I had to go. And, but I did cull 3 fish in that last, say, 40 minutes. And that kind of gave me the ability to hold the lead.
Gotcha.
Because without that, I lose.
Yeah. Exactly. That was it was intense just watching that event on FLW. But when you finished up your practice on the last day, did you think that you were in a spot that you had a good chance at winning that, or is it just kind of like you?
No, I felt my goal was to catch 15 to 17 pounds a day. I felt like that would make the cut, and I felt like I had a shot to catch 15 to 17 a day. But then again, like I said, I'd only made 3 or 4 throws on each of those places, so I really had no idea what was there until the tournament started.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's
Because actually the first day of the tournament, when I started on my starting spot, the fish had moved in on me about 40 yards, and I went to the right instead of the left, and I missed them for about the first 30 minutes or 20 minutes until I circled back around and found them again, and then caught them every cast for an hour. So,
yeah.
But I got a better understanding of it every day, how the fish were relating, and it was, that's what you always want to do. You kind of want to have an idea, but you want to figure it out in the tournament. You don't want to figure it out in practice and have it go away. So that was really kind of the really cool part is I had an idea, and then as the tournament went on, I figured it out.
Yeah. Now, that being said, that tournament there was kind of setting up. That was a pre-spawn event, right? I mean, they haven't really pulled up.
No. Water was 53 to 58 degrees. I mean, it was actually kind of borderline a winter tournament. I think it was more about bait as much as anything. I think the fish, because I noticed in practice when you got out off those grass lines, you saw lots of shad suspended, and you saw lots of shad suspended, and you saw game fish around them. So that was my thinking.
Yeah. Now, kind of going into this event, I say going into this event, looking at the baits that were used for the top 10, there was it's a big pattern going on, and I'm looking, and it's crankbaits in red colors, whether it be like the demon color or the Rapala red. What do you call it? Like a red crawl.
Demon.
Yeah,
that's demon. Yeah.
Demon.
And then you got some of the other guys throwing look like the Berkeley crawfish colors and Bagley, or what's that? I can't remember the bomber red. I mean, it seems like Sam Rayburn is just like it's a big red color down there. I mean, they even got Rayburn red.
Yeah. The crawfish really get a red tint down there early in the year. I think that's a lot of it.
Yeah.
And for some reason, red's just a good color in bass fishing. Always has been.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's and then just
it's kind of like my dad used to say. My dad used to tell me when I was a kid, any color's fine as long as it's chartreuse. So,
Yeah, that's funny. Let's see. That was one more question I wanted to ask you, and it slipped my mind here. But since we're kind of talking about the crankbaits, James, I'll let you take over, and we'll kind of go into the in-depth segment on Terry and how he likes to set up why he uses what crankbaits for certain situations.
All right. How you doing, Terry?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, good. What type of rod and reel setup do you use when you're cranking?
I was using a Lew's Team Lew's Custom Pro 7'11" crankbait 2 rod is the rod I was using, and a BB1 Pro wide spool 5-to-1 reel, and I had 3 different crankbaits on the deck, and what I find that here was my thinking was the inside grass line was about 12 to 14 foot. Now, with that being said, the hydrilla comes up off the bottom in that range, a foot to 2 foot to, and sometimes it's taller than that. So I wanted a bait to run 10 foot, I wanted a bait to run 12 foot, and I wanted a bait to run 16 foot at least, or deeper for the outside grass. So that was my 3 choices. I fished the DT10 on 12-pound Suffix fluorocarbon because I wanted to get it to its maximum depth. I wanted to get it to 10 foot. Now, the DT14, I didn't really want it to run 14, so I fished it on 14-pound Suffix advanced copolymer line. I used a little bigger, more of a buoyant line to try to keep that bait up some. Because I felt like it was running in the 12 to 13 foot range. I was trying to keep it from going 14 the best I could. And then my 16, I was throwing on 12-pound fluorocarbon because I was using it on the outside edge, so I wanted it to get as deep as it could.
Huh. That's awesome. Let me see.
I think I sidetracked you.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you didn't catch everything on the crankbait So
No, I did catch some on a 3/4 ounce accent spinnerbait, and I did catch a few on a Carolina rig too. But I primarily used the Carolina rig in the bare spots after I'd kind of thrashed on them for a while just for a cleanup. But the 3/4 ounce spinnerbait setup, I used a 6'10" Lew's custom light rod, spinnerbait rod, on a 6-4-1 Team Lew's custom pro reel and 17-pound Suffix fluorocarbon, and I was, on those inside grass line fish, when they really got to going, I'd show them a crankbait, and I might slow roll a spinnerbait through there. I was just trying to show them different lures to catch the biggest fish out of those schools. And, the first day, I think I actually weighed 3 on the spinnerbait. The second day, the 33.8, every one of them come on a Caribbean shad DT16. I couldn't get them to bite a spinnerbait the second day. I think it's because those fish were suspended over that hydrilla, and I just couldn't get the spinnerbait at the right depth. I kept going under them. And the third day, I caught one I know I used on a spinnerbait, and the final day I caught one that I know I used on a spinnerbait. So I mixed in a spinnerbait off and on. But primarily where the spinnerbait shined was on that outside hydrilla line, the deeper grass. Not so much the crankbait was really kind of more. I mean, I did catch them on a spinnerbait on the inside, but I caught a lot of 2-pounders and stuff like that.
Yeah. What type of bait were you using on your Carolina rig?
I was throwing a 5-inch green pumpkin Zoom lizard.
Old lizard.
Yep, old lizard. When I graduated college in 1994, I went to Sam Rayburn with Danny Moorhead, Sean Penn. They were fishing the Bass Invitational. I wasn't fishing. I just went with them to practice, and I caught my first 9-pound bass at Sam Rayburn in February on a Carolina rig Zoom lizard. So it's just kind of been a good old standby.
Yep. You can't go wrong with throwing something you're confident in, that's for sure.
That's right.
We kind of went over this before. Is when you picking crawl colored crankbaits and stuff like that, are you just, I know that they get turned red at certain times of the year. Is that just something that's just, how far can you go with that? Is it something that you can use all over the United States, or is it just?
I think you can, but I think some crawfish are regionally colored. Like, I know our crawfish here at Kentucky Lake in March and April get that kind of lime greeny, chartreusey look to them. So, I've always done better on crankbaits here in the spring that have those colors. But I mean, I catch them on red too. I know in Missouri the crawfish get purplish, at times. They get blue at times in parts of the country. So I think it just kind of, and of course, when I was a kid, I used to, walk around and kick rocks over and pick up crawdads and look at them. And crawfish change colors, through molting processes, all over the country. So, I think that's a big part of it.
Have you been able to find a chart or anything that has multiple different crawfish?
I have not. I have not. I've never been able to do that. And I know there's people out there that have biology degrees that can tell you a lot more about it than I can.
Yeah, we used to have a person in our club that had one, and I've never been able to find it after he had it. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
I got a quick question for you, Terry. When it comes to throwing the red, like the demon color, through the season, how long can you throw that? I mean, is once kind of the spawn is over with bass, or before they start to spawn, is it good to kind of switch up to more of your shad colors, or is that a color that you could throw all year long down there?
Well, I think a lot of times early in the year, when you're, fish are always targeting crawfish. And of course, I think a lot of times when you get to the post-spawn stage, when fish are healing up and, getting over the spawn, that's when they become more keyed in on shad and brim. So, red's always been more of a, early spring color for me. But, the big reason I threw, of course, red's, everybody knows red's good in Texas, but the water was really off color where I was fishing. in that creek, and that's why I stuck with, it showed up good in the water. Chartreuse and blue Caribbean shad's basically chartreuse and blue. It shows up good in that water. So, and there was, I know on that start spot, there was white bass in there busting. And, the funny thing was, I don't know if anybody saw it on live, but I was throwing a red one, and I had a shad colored DT10 on. Well, I caught several on red. Well, I picked up the shad one, threw it like 6 or 7 times. I never got a bite. And I went, well, then I thought, well, dummy, you've caught all these on red. Why'd you throw shad? But, I thought, well, surely it doesn't make a difference. But, and maybe I just didn't throw it long enough. But, I just basically stuck with what was working.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to throwing like your crankbaits, like your DT10s and stuff like that, what's your line setup that you like to have? What kind of line do you like to throw that on?
Well, it all depends. I like fluorocarbon line, but as we all know, when you get into colder weather, fluorocarbon doesn't perform as well. So if you're in real cold weather, a lot of times, Suffolk has a new line called Advance, and I've been using it for about 2 years now. It hit the market this last year in July. And it's a copolymer line, and it has great castability, great sensitivity, and it's really a line that I think people are going to like and want to look at as far as for I've used it a lot for crankbaits, spinner baits, any of my moving baits, jerk baits, and I'm really fell in love with this line because it casts so well. It doesn't keep memory. You can fish with it a day and pick it up the next day, and it's just as limp and subtle as it was the day before.
I got you. Now, when it comes to your reel speed, a lot of people use a slow retrieve gear ratio on cranking, but it seems like more and more of the pros that we've talked to through the last several years, they keep getting to these faster gear ratios. Do you still kind of stay with the slower gear ratios for cranking?
In my opinion, when you're fishing a deep crankbait, if you're trying to get a crankbait to its maximum depth, you're still better off with a slower gear retrieve ratio reel. Now, I have seen times where you can use a higher speed and, maybe burn it through an area and get them to react. But still, if you're trying to get to the maximum depth, the BB1 Pro or the BB1, the BB1 Pro, those reels are second to none when it comes to crankbaits. I mean, you can throw them farther than you want to wind them in. But that's just that's my feeling. I know a lot of guys have gone to higher speed retrieve reels, but mine still day in day out, it's hard to beat a 5-to-1 reel when it comes to big crankbaits.
Now, I've talked to several people through the years, especially when it comes to the old luge reels, that love to still use the old luge reels with the really slow gear ratios for cranking. I mean, do you still see guys? I know a lot of guys still use the newer.
Yeah, well, that's what the BB1 Pro was designed to be, like the old reels, and I think that's a reason they're so popular with a lot of old crankbait fishermen. Because it's the closest thing to the old reel that there is now, and it's actually out there on the market and available for people to purchase without having to find one on eBay.
Yeah. James, I don't know if we got you back. I know he had to go out the room real quick. James, we got you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right. What happened to your lights there, buddy?
I went into another room. See if I can get rid of the echo.
Oh, I got you. Okay. I was like, what in the world? But anyways, yeah. Well, Terry, on your spinnerbait, I want to get to one more thing on your spinnerbaits, and then we'll let you get going. Now, when it comes to spinnerbait fishing, because our last show we went into spinnerbait fishing. What is your gear ratio? What gear ratio reel and rod do you like for that setup?
Well, I like a 6'10" Lew's custom light spinnerbait rod, and I like a 6'10" length rod. Now, a lot of guys say, well, that's kind of short. I'd rather have a 7 or 7.2 or 7.3, and that's fine. That's fine. That's just the one I like to throw. I've been using a 6.4-to-1 more here lately, but truly, and I wished I'd have brought. I wished I'd left some of my 5-to-1 Lew's here at home and didn't take them with me. for that outside grass, I really wished I'd have had my 5-to-1s to actually get that bait at depth. But I have switched over more to the 6-4 and tried to slow myself down more. But so I'm kind of on the fence. I've kind of got away from a 5-to-1, and I've kind of gone more toward the 6-4 the last couple years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's and when it comes to your line and all that, I know for me, I like to throw a 14 to 17 pound test. What kind of line do you like to throw with your spinnerbait?
The same, 14 to 17 pounds. Sometimes I'll throw the fluorocarbon, and sometimes I'll go, like I said, with that advance. You know, the fluorocarbon line, of course, once you start getting up in size with any of them, you know, they start to have a little more memory, and they don't cast as good, especially in cold weather. But you know, 14 to 17 is just about what I stick with always on a spinnerbait.
Gotcha. Well, James, you got any more questions for Terry?
Not that I can think of right now. I think he's answered a ton of the questions that I had down already.
Sorry, I know you were messing around.
Part of the segment.
Yeah, James was trying to mess around. We've had some issues with on our end. It sounds good, but once you get on YouTube, for some reason they get echoey. So we've been trying to figure out some issues with that. But
okay.
But other than that, everything else sounds good. But Terry, I really do appreciate you coming on, man. Congratulations on your win.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And good luck the rest of the year.
Thank you.
I mean, just think you're angler of the year right now. You're lead angler of the year. So
that's right. That's right. We quit now. I got it made, right?
That's right. So congratulations again, and I wish you the best for the 2019 season.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and thank you for having me on.
All right, Terry. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that was a good interview. James, where in the world are you at, dude?
I'm in the living room.
Oh, I can't see you whatsoever. You're going to have to go in that room where I can see you.
You don't need to see me.
Uh-oh. You taking care of kids right now?
No.
Oh.
I just didn't know if it sounds a whole lot better in here or not.
Oh. Yeah, sorry, guys. What's he saying? We got a question here. Oh, shoot. Sorry, man. I didn't get to the questions in time, but a lot of the pros are like, what? I can't read that real well. James, can you read that?
His way, regardless. A lot of pros.
But it was a really good interview.
That's the deal.
I'm sorry we're having some technical issues tonight. I promise when Chris comes back, this show will run 10 times better. It's so much going on now. We got so much that we're doing with the show now that let me get over here to James. We can see him a little bit better now. There we go. Let me go back to this view. There we go. It looks like a bunch of hillbillies running the show tonight. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's
yeah.
We've had so many issues. Oh well, it is what it is. But and we're sorry for the sound. I don't know what we're doing when it comes to the echoing issue, because on our end right now, talking to James, talking to Terry, everything sounds good. It's just when it goes over to YouTube for some reason, and you probably heard the phone going off. James didn't turn his down. Whatever, but we
it was down. I don't know how it got turned back up again, because I don't get.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's all right, man. It's a bonus show. Don't judge us. But nah, it's all good. Don't y'all live in the hills? Well, I live in the hills. James lives in the flats now. He lives down there in bean country. Well, I mean, not bean. Well, I guess it'd be bean and peanut country.
Oh yeah.
But and we've had some questions on here. Well, somebody asked on here. It was Bass Cat Dave about the Classic plans. Yep, we do. We are going to the Bassmasters Classic this year. We finally got everything in for our media credentials. Really excited about that. I'm really excited, James, because me and you was talking about it yesterday. It's kind of. I was just talking to my dad. My dad don't normally like to go to. We've asked him a couple times to go to the Bassmasters Classic with us or go to this event. Dad's homebody. He just likes to stay home, and he's going with us this year, so that's going to be exciting. I don't know if he'll be able to put up with our shenanigans for a long
Yeah.
period of time, 4 days.
So he'll need a break, I'm sure.
But me and James can get a little crazy sometimes, probably for Dad, anyways. But it probably ain't too bad. But anyways, we're getting excited about that coming up. So and be able to get Dad to get in there with us. I'm really pumped about that. So kind of talking a little bit about the the Richmond Expo. We're going to try to get up there early if I can get James up there. You better be up there. We're going to go up there and eat with some guys at the Cracker Barrel and head on over to the Expo. And like I say, Evan Edwards is going to be there. Timmy Hort's going to be there. John Cruz is going to be there. I thought I saw a while back that Brandon Paulins would be there, but maybe that was like for the Greensboro or
Might have been
or something. I don't know. Bass Cat Dave said he's hoping to make it. Yeah, I hope you do make it. Maybe we can meet up down there if you make it. So, I like to meet up with old Bass Cat Dave. He don't miss a show. He don't miss many shows, anyways. So, but other than that, James, I don't have too much more to add tonight, guys. This was kind of a bonus show. We didn't have a whole lot planned, just to talk with Terry, and was hoping that the show was going to run smoother than it did, but you know, it is what it is. But I'll have this one up on iTunes tomorrow afternoon. Once I get home from work, I'll get it up on iTunes. So it'll definitely be up there for you Saturday. It'll be up there Friday night, but you can have it up there for Saturday morning to listen to while you drink your coffee and eat your donut or something for breakfast. But other than that, James, I hope to see you this weekend, brother. And I forgot what I was going to say, but
yeah, I hope to see you too. Hopefully, I get it all done tomorrow.
You better.
No pressure.
You better.
No
I'm gonna call
pressure.
you, James. You still working? You better tell me. Yeah. I don't care if it's 9 o'clock. You better be working. Get that
I
done.
know.
So.
Yep.
But guys, we'll work on the sound issues. We'll get them. This is what our third show I guess we've been using, Skype and all that with. So third or fourth show, something like that. So. We're trying to get it together. Just be patient with us. And, one more thing I want to tell everybody. And if you can, please go subscribe to our YouTube channel and like this video. But I also want to tell everybody else, right here, let's see if I can get this camera to focus. This is iTunes. It's focusing a little bit. This is iTunes. If you could go on there and rate our show, you don't have to give a comment. If you could just go in there and give it hoping a 5-star at least. I prefer you not to give it a 1, but hey, you know, honesty's the best policy. But please give it a rating. Any rating's better than no rating. So, and just kind of let us know how our show's going and what you think about it. So, anyways, guys, that's all I got for tonight. James, I'm going to let you get going here, brother. And
all right, man.
We'll talk to you guys later. Y'all have a great night.
All right, man.
See ya.
Thank y'all. Bye.